What are you playing, Jen? Are you playing a bag of chips?
No, a bag of dark chocolate sea salt cashews.
Nice.
So,
Hi.
I'm eating some of those. Sorry. Okay.
Nice. Oh man.
Well, everything still works.
Barely.
Welcome to Outside the Inn. We are the Travis Larson Band. This is episode number 40, and the first one since New Year's. So what are we, like 6 weeks in now? Something like that?
Yeah.
It's like it's the 20th of February, so 6-7 weeks. For those of you just joining us, this is just a hang because we have nothing better to do on Saturday night. But generally speaking, lately, Jen and I have been working really hard. But Jen suggested that we check in with everybody this week and see how everybody's doing and see what's happening. So,
hi everybody.
and take a quick look here. I see a lot of people hanging out and signing on.
Yeah, it's cool. It's encouraging to see everyone.
I was kind of thinking that maybe everybody would have like the stream of the series.
Activity? Oh.
Well, like the
continuity.
The continuity
broken.
Yeah. The continuity of us being on every week might have lost everybody that hung out with us because they'd move on to bigger and better things, or at least, more entertaining television shows or something.
They maybe should.
Yeah.
So
moved on to higher quality viewing.
But yeah, let's. I just want to say hey to everybody on here. I see Arthur and Goober and
Wayne and Greg, Anthony,
Glenn.
Yeah.
Michael Gregory, my man from Michael Gregory is, I believe, if it's the right Michael Gregory, because I'm just seeing the name on the list. This is the cat that sat in with us when we played in Nashville that night, and I threw my guitar on him. And then, and then he's shown up to. I think he lives up in Northern California now because he's shown up to some gigs up in Sacramento. But great guitar player.
Yeah.
Wayne. How you doing, Wayne? I hope you're doing
Stephanie
okay.
says Travis Larson Club. I think that's a reference to us naming everybody.
Travis Larson. There's Jeff.
Yeah,
Burdick.
we need a mirror. And I see Tommy and Al. Do you remember Romper Room?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I don't know if Romper Room was a California specific show or if it was a national show. But here's the thing I do know about Romper Room. It was actually taped up between San Francisco and Sacramento because Jen and my drummer back in high school was on Romper Room once, and that's where he lived. Oh. He lived in Vacaville, and he was on Romper Room once. And that was pre-internet, so they were actually sitting in a room when they looked in that magnifying glass and identified everybody.
Wow.
So
I think it was a mirror.
A mirror, yes. Was it?
A mirror?
Hey, Werner's here. Hey, Werner. Tommy. So just a quick, update, and then we'll get more into it. But I have other things I was going to do just as a kind of a quick check-in. But just to update everybody, Jen and I have been working every night in the studio since last time, with an occasional break. And we're actually on break right now because we basically mapped out the blueprint for the first half of the album, and I have to now write the second half of the album. So that's another reason we're on break, is because we need stuff to sort through, and we don't have stuff to sort through. We do a lot of sitting in this room and kind of looking at each other, and
and me yelling at Travis like, come on, write something already.
I'm staying out of it.
We did start sending Dale. We've officially sent Dale some demos.
Yeah. I still have to send you the notes. I apologize.
No worries. I haven't listened yet.
Okay.
But as far as before we get into all that, a few things that we could touch base on. One is I wanted to just shout out. We lost Chick Corea this last week, and I mentioned, and I posted a thing on my Facebook as well, that I first saw Chick Corea on the Merv Griffin show with Herbie Hancock doing a duet. Now, if anyone can imagine television these days being cool enough and nerdy enough to where you could turn on a talk show and see Chick Corea and Herbie Hancock dueling on like a late night television show. So the world has definitely changed a lot, but that's when I first heard those guys live, so to speak, and completely changed my idea of. So at this point, my exposure to music was still pretty cool. My brother had turned me on to ELP and Elton John and all this kind of stuff he had in his vinyl collection when we were kids. But and I was really into the Stones, which is not even on that path. It's just that was cool rock and roll that I clung on to. But I see Chick Corea and Herbie Hancock on the Merv Griffin show, and it was one of those like confused dog moments where you tilt your head and go like, okay, what is this? Like, this is not the music I'm familiar with, so opened up my mind to even a different world of music that I didn't really even know existed. So, and then our friend Joe Travers texted Jen and I earlier. I don't know if he texted you, Dale, but
yeah, saw that.
Yeah. And he had some video of him playing with Chick Corea. And
that was super awesome.
Wow. So, anyway, that's, just shout out to Joe tonight, but
yes, yeah, that Electric Band I remember being a huge impact on me too. The first Chick Corea Electric Band album, it was just probably affected me the way a lot of people I know just slightly older than me say Return to Forever, affected them. But that Dave Weckl and John Patitucci and Chick, that and the acoustic band too. That was some of the coolest jazz fusion, I thought. And when I first moved to this area, it was my first move away from Humboldt County, where it was just really hard to see shows because people didn't pass through the coast that far north. And I came to the Central Coast, and in the first few weeks, I saw the Electric Band. I saw Chick Corea and John Patitucci. I was like, wow, this happens in the real world. This is amazing.
Where did you see that show?
That was at the Quest Auditorium before they. It was
before
great.
They closed it down. Yeah,
but it was almost weird to me, because you live in an isolated area, and these people exist in magazines and on records, and then it was just there's that that feeling of just going, these are like real people in front of me playing music.
Right.
Yeah.
It was trippy.
What?
Right. Anyway, sorry, Trav.
And and of course, from Jen and my perspective, growing up, we thought they all lived in castles with snow dogs and stuff, right?
Right.
they were all like magical, mystical creatures with, unlimited funds. But so anyway, and I got the Chick Corea Electric Band album on a cassette. And then, and then I got the acoustic band album, and then I got a bunch of the Herbie stuff. And, so that was just kind of a whole changed perspective of what music was and what instruments even were. Because what were those guys doing? When I saw them on the Merv Griffin show, they had these stacks of keyboards back then before I knew that was a thing, So you're just kind of like what are they doing with all those things? Like what is all this? They're like playing stuff up here and down there and over here, and so that was Tommy says he got to hang out backstage with Dweezil's band while on the RTF tour in 2011. We blew out Joe's candles and ran out to see Chick and the band play. So
nice. And
so
Kevin,
that must have been the same tour, because the footage Joe sent was with Zappa Plays Zappa when Chick was playing keyboards.
Kevin says I first saw Chick at Van Duzer in Humboldt State, which is really cool, although it completely negates my whining about how nobody comes through.
Totally does. Totally does.
Okay, fine. You can see stuff, but I just didn't do it. That's
so
cool.
just so shout out to Chick Corea. I was going to move on here just as far as so a quick shout out, music on television talk shows, which is a rarity these days, or good music. But my good friend Jen Majura last night, shout out to her. She was on Jimmy Kimmel's show last night.
Woo!
And even though it had to be a virtual performance, because that's how they're all doing it right now, but still really cool. That's like, I know she's one of the few people in really big bands. I won't say rock star because she hates that, but I'll say she's one of the few people I know that's in a really big band that actually understands the kind of work that, TLB is very accustomed to. She did a couple of decades in the van playing in metal bands and small crappy clubs and touring Europe and staying at youth hostels and all that stuff. So the fact that she gets to a level, she's on Jimmy Kimmel, that was really exciting for her friends and her last night. So
yay, Jen.
Yay, Jen. And there'll probably be more of that because the Evanescence record is coming out next month. And so I'm like, you know how geeky I am about TV shows. I went and saw Johnny in his last week at the Tonight Show. So like, if she actually does like Saturday Night Live or something, I'm actually threatening to go out there and drag you guys with me and say like, we got to book like a little clinic tour and then we get backstage passes.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I have a Who's the Man that I'm going to throw out just kind of quick and early because it fits the subject matter of what we're talking about here. And I figured since we were talking about Jimmy Fallon, and I'm guessing Jimmy Kimmel would probably be the next thing they end up on. As far as late night talk show right now, who's the man? Which Jimmy is the man? Jimmy Fallon or Jimmy Kimmel?
I'm gonna take this. It's so lame, but I'm always like I never end up watching TV. I think I like them equally, but I can't say that I've watched either one of them regularly. But I like them both. So that's right. I know it's a lame answer, but I don't know.
Jen?
I'm kind of in Dale's camp because I don't watch late night TV.
Okay, yeah, but Jimmy Fallon has the roots.
Right.
Right.
And Jimmy Fallon does some really awesome, like, I don't know if they're called skits or games or whatever, but he's done some really fun bits, I guess.
He's also a very musical. He played you may be right, I may be crazy with Billy Joel on there one night. I mean, like, the guy is pretty rock solid, right?
Yeah.
So that kind of stuff is fun. And I like when he gets older rock stars and musicians on there and he dresses them up to look like they looked 30 years ago. And then he dresses up like them as well. I mean, that's a pretty good bit. Like he had, I'm trying to think, who he's had on there because he's had a bunch of guys, but like, I think he did Tom Petty once and, it's like dressed him up like it's 1975 and then Jimmy dresses up as him as well. And they sing a duet,
Right.
Yeah.
So stuff like that. Anyway.
And plus he was an SNL guy and he just seems like a good dude. And
right.
Tommy says history says Fallon for the time slot. That's a good point.
Right.
And he's got the roots and Dale played with the roots way back in the day. Right. Did you play the roots or am I just thinking of you were playing with P-Funk?
I think it just seems so much. Oh, right. Yeah. We did a show or two with Parliament. And you might have.
Did you do any shows with the Roots?
No, unless
you
I'm
can't
forgetting.
remember.
Yeah. No, I think it might just be though that I will sometimes say, yeah, I was playing in hip hop band, and at the time that was odd because the Roots weren't on the scene quite yet. So it was to have a band that was playing hip hop was sort of a not the norm,
Right.
Now, if you go to a Jay-Z show or something like, there's going to be a full band, but back then, it seemed interesting and novel. And then the Roots came on, and we're doing that too.
Gotcha. Hi, Mary. Mary's here.
Hi, Mary.
Hey.
We'll try not to keep you up all night, Mary. So I hope everybody's doing okay in the last couple months or 6 weeks or whatever it's been. Jen and I have been hard at work. Quick before we get into that, I also want to talk about my day a little bit, because I was calling Jen today, as she's always my like last minute tech support. If I can't figure something out, I call Jen. And so today's a big moment in the Larson household. The Larson,
The
elders, yeah. For the first time in the history of that house, they have Wi-Fi.
What?
Yeah.
So
Nice.
theoretically, they're watching this right now, and they're watching it actually in the living room on television, because they have Wi-Fi now instead of.
Hi, Mom and Dad Larson.
Hey guys.
So so I went over there. So here's the story about today, and part of this is the equipment, part of it is me, but I think it's mostly the equipment. So I go over there, and the first of all, Jen and I had updated the wireless router in Precision Records offices here at the Treehouse a while back, and so I have really good screaming internet here, which is where I'm coming at you right now from. And then I took the old modem and over to my folks' house router. Sorry, see, that's why I called Jen.
Yep.
Just saying.
So I took the old router over to the folks today, and it immediately fired right up, because I didn't change any of the passwords or the name of it or anything, and it was just. So I plugged it in, and it just instantly worked, and my phone was online. Everything worked. I didn't have to figure out any codes or anything with the www or all that stuff, So, so then I have to go get some HDMI cables going for the television in the living room, so they can watch this right here on the big screen, because the quality of this doesn't really come through unless you're watching it on a 50-inch TV, right?
You're right.
The high fidelity of this broadcast and the really expensive cameras that we're using and whatnot really
Especially
doesn't.
mine.
Especially Jen's, yeah, and the HD feed. So anyway, I go over there. Anyone that's worked on stuff at their parents' house can relate to this, but I bought my dad an HDMI cable, and I went over and I was hooking this piece of equipment up to get this thing going, and I couldn't get it going and couldn't get it going and couldn't get it going. And it was on HDMI 4, number 4 input on the television. And I've got it on the 4, and I've got the gear going, and I had tried this at home on my monitors and stuff, and it worked. So I go, I'm not sure what it is. And I call Jen, and she's like, I don't know. You're the one that usually runs that stuff into big screens. I don't usually do that stuff. So I start screwing around with the other HDMI cables in the back of his system there that go to other things like Blu-ray players and stuff. And I try one of those, and it works on another HDMI input on the TV. So I look at the cable, and the cable, I don't know much about HDMI other than HDMI is just a video cable. But this cable says HDMI / what did I tell you earlier, Jen? Do you remember?
Ethernet.
Yeah, HDMI / Ethernet. Now, I know a lot of technical stuff, but I didn't know HDMI and Ethernet were interchangeable, or they had a combination plug for that. So I'm going, okay, well, maybe this cable was the wrong cable to get. So I immediately go, okay, I'll be back in 20 minutes. And I run home. By the way, I've already run this cable under a carpet and all this stuff, get it all in place. You know what I mean? Because it was just going to work. Everything else had worked. And so I've got it all run under the carpet. I put the living room back together. And then I run home, and I've got a cable that we're running to the control room for when I do the live stream performances, and Jen runs the control room for those. And so that thing is like 50 feet long. It actually goes outside the building, up the side of the building, because it's sort of temporary for those live broadcasts that we were doing. So, and it went through a window and into the office in another part of the building. So I'm like pulling that all apart. I'm pulling that out the window, and I'm coiling it up. I'm like, okay, I'm going to take this 50-foot cable over to the parents' house and get that going. Larry Mitchell in the house. Hi, Larry.
Hey. Woo.
Hey, Larry.
Larry's mom watching this on Wi-Fi. every week on an iPad.
Right.
You know, I got to share a really quality joke here about older people getting internet going. Wayne said, "Did they hook the hi-fi up to the Wi-Fi?" That is solid.
All right. Joke of the night. Thank you.
Very nice. Yeah, Jen didn't need to come up with one.
I don't need to come up with one.
So anyway, Larry, we're talking about how I tried to hook my parents up today with Wi-Fi for the first time in the history of the Larson household.
Mm-hmm.
So I go back. I've got my HDMI cable from the treehouse here, and I only live about 7 minutes from my parents via car. So I go back and I pull everything out and I put that all in there, and nothing. It doesn't work. Now I know this cable works, so I'm like, at this point I'm like, what could possibly be going on? And so I switch it to another input, and it turns out it was a bad input.
Oh man,
like a bad input on the.
Didn't I ask if you tried any other HDMI ports?
I tried them all, and they all worked except this one. But I would try them with the cables that were for those ports. I didn't switch out the cables. So all those HDMI ports for the other devices, I just unplugged the device because it was easier to get to. So I grabbed the device, unplugged it, plugged that into the new device, and then that worked on all those inputs. So then I got a new cable, ran it into the port that didn't have anything on it because that was the empty port, and that port just doesn't work with anything. So
it was a cable and a port issue, you're saying?
No, it was just the port, but I was tearing cables apart thinking it was the cable. So I pulled the whole first cable apart, went back, put a whole new cable in. Then I finally figured out how to get it to work with a different port. And then I had to pull that whole cable apart and bring it back home because I wasn't going to give him my 50-foot cable for the studio if he didn't need it. So I can't tell you how many times I tore their carpet up today just to change out cables. Because
that's the last step, Travis. My word.
But it was all going to work.
No,
it's going to work.
Never works. Never. Ever.
Well,
especially since we're still in Mercury retrograde.
That's quite something. Hey, I have I don't want to.
No, go ahead.
I have a technology snafu story where I started getting all kinds of messages a couple of days ago from people going, "Hey, is this you?" And a screenshot of an Instagram. By the way, thanks for everybody who texted me. I was in the middle of lessons and my phone was just blowing up with people going, "Is this you?" And I finally got a chance to look at it, and it's a picture of me and my name and Devin. Yeah, it's from my Instagram, and then there's just. But if you knew me, here's the thing. It sort of confirms that idea that nobody really looks at this stuff. They just said, "Oh, that's stale," and they went ahead and followed it out of respect for, "Oh, I know that guy." But so there's a lot of followers, but if you looked at it, it was kind of just garbled a little bit. English. It sort of made sense. It was saying something to the effect of, "I have too many messages," and made a new one. And then there's a picture of a burger with bacon and a girl I don't know, and that's the whole thing. And
let me add to this though. So in the description,
don't spoil my favorite sentence in existence.
Okay, no, go ahead then. If you got this, go ahead.
I was gonna say, bot language. It's kind of glad I said that. Bot language is kind of, it'll come close, but it's just getting verbs and syntax in the right places. But so my new favorite sentence is, "I love you, whore. I got too much message."
Which was in your description.
That was literally, that was what you were presented with. There's a picture of me and a couple a paragraph that contained that sentence. And then go ahead.
What I love about this though, is that, first of all, the last time you updated your Instagram was on the 20th anniversary tour, I think, right? So what I love is that apparently it's Dale Moon is a big enough name to steal his identity and create your own for marketing purposes.
Yeah.
Even on Instagram, which the last time you updated it was like 3 years ago. Yeah.
I never really know what the end game is with this stuff. What is this impersonator getting? But also I was watching.
What was in that description again? What was it, Dale?
The sentence?
Yeah, the sentence in the Dale Moon subscription or description on the bootleg Instagram account.
"I love you, whore. I got too much message."
I think that's what needs to be on the t-shirt next time we tour.
Yeah. It's some in context you can sort of it's trying to sort of be street and also explain the reason for the new profile at the same time. And like not bad for artificial intelligence, I guess. Anyway, so then I was watching all the followers rack up and just going, if all it takes to trump my career is a picture of a burger and a girl I don't know, it's gonna be lame.
Stephanie says the babe is more believable than the burger. What I love about that is
Yes,
either one of those things believable.
yeah. Even if I for the most part, I eat very little meat and I've never posted pictures.
Very little babes.
I've never posted a picture of food in my life. But anyway, doesn't matter. Mary with the head slap emoji.
Right.
That's about right.
So I haven't checked it lately, but did they pull it down? Because Dale and I were messaging the crap out of it, trying to get.
And some other people joined in. So thanks to everybody who let Instagram know that was not me. And
okay, so it went away.
Well, it went away and then it took another form. There was a different host of a similar one, but slightly different. And then finally it all got shut down, I guess.
Okay. Tommy Quirk says, no burger, no cry. I like that. Well, that's really something, especially considering that you've completely neglected that account for like half a decade. Actually, I don't even know what the last picture really was. I was guessing it was probably from the 20th anniversary.
It is something that was just like done.
That's because Devin was on that tour.
Yeah. Devin would be in the backseat with me going, you got to post something. I'm like, I don't know. He's like, it doesn't matter. Just post something. And it was good for me. And I'm bad.
Hey, Barron's here. He was the one that actually turned me on to that.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Right on. Thanks, Barron.
Yeah. Barron texted me and he goes, hey, I don't know if you've seen this. And it was Dale's fake account. So that was fun. So, Jen, you got anything on the half-hour mark here? You got a joke of the night?
No, I'm sorry.
You've only had 7 weeks to come up with one.
Hopefully I'm prepared for tonight. In fact, I barely made sound check because I forgot we did that. And
7 weeks wasn't enough.
What's that?
Said 7 weeks wasn't enough.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to talk about writing the new album and kind of the procedure that we go through with that. And we're still in the super early stages. Like I said, Jen and I have been working together every night for several weeks.
6 weeks or since.
Well, it took me a little while to get more stuff together before we started, but we were going for a while there. So the kind of the general way that I've been starting is, and I've talked about this before in clinics and things, but I'll usually just start coming up with parts to a click track or some sort of percussion that doesn't have time associated with it. And that way, if any kind of weird line comes out of me, it's not necessarily associated with anything specific, meaning 4/4 time or a specific beat. And but if I hear an interesting riff that I like, then sometimes I'll kind of take that and I'll or if I hear stuff in my head, actually more often than when I hear it on an instrument, I'll sit there and I'll try and pick out things I hear in my head and figure out how to play enough of it to where I can lay it down. And then what I'll do is I'll build like sampled drums around that just enough to where you know where the one is. And that's been a thing on the last several records because it was getting kind of ridiculous where Dale was trying to take too much on, where he would just take the demo with nothing but a click track or a shaker and try and figure out what Jen and I were doing. And when you do that, you don't even know which side is up, So at least we've started with here's where I'm at least thinking where the kick drum and the snare is, so that you kind of know where like the one is of a section, or what I perceive as the one.
The vibe of the groove in general and stuff.
Right. So so I started working on that actually in 2018, I think. And I had like 4 tunes from 2018 that were just sort of loose demos. And then, or maybe it was 2 or 3, I can't remember. Anyway, but I wrote 2 or 3 more after our last get together here in January. And then, hey, Chris Phillips is here. I just saw Jen's brother Eric, by the way. He says hi.
And what does Chris have to say?
He says Freebird.
What?
Oh, actually, I didn't read it.
He said, I tuned in thinking I'm going to hear more Freebird, and I get more Travis and less Jen and Dale.
So anyway, so I get these blueprints together, and then Jen starts coming over, and we start kind of sliding ideas around and playing with stuff. And I don't what. How does that go, Jen?
As you might expect, no. It's been good. We've the first couple of tunes went kind of quickly and easily. I will say Travis tends to write in blocks of I don't know if genre is the right word, but when he writes songs, you'll get like 3
stylistic
of songs, and then the next, stylistic, and then the next hunk will be like the rock stuff, and then the next hunk will be like the ballads. And so thus far, we've been hunked in fusion tunes, so which is cool. There's definitely a lot of fusion going on right now. So it's been good. And then the last 2 or 3 we struggled with pretty good, just because it's one of those things where he'll present something and I'm like, what is that? That isn't anything. But then it eventually turns into something after many, many nights of shaping and caressing and trying to figure out where the show and why that doesn't work there. And it's been good. So I think we have 5 arrangements together, right?
Yeah, 5. And is it 5 or 6? Yeah, I think
we
5.
have 5 solid arrangements. 1 song we haven't dealt with yet. Yeah.
And then I've got 2 very loose ideas. And the truth is that when we're struggling, it's because I haven't done enough homework. Like if Jen comes over and we're dealing with something that's like too small of an idea, you know what I mean? It's really means I need to go do more homework. And
but sometimes even just that direction. I mean, I dig that if you deem it an idea, then it's worth looking at, and we do. And sometimes you're in a different place, and then I'll say, I think that happened with the first tune. You were thinking the Herbie Hancock, just to generalize, route, and to me it sounded more like a Jeff Becky thing. You remember that? And then so that sparked you to elaborate on that idea more. So sometimes I think you get a little stuck in the direction, so the idea doesn't unfold as well. But yeah, they're all different. They're all different.
The first 2 tunes are very different, and they're kind of very different for us. And the reason being is those were actually written 2 years ago. And Werner and I went to Oakland one night and saw Herbie Hancock. And I hadn't seen Herbie Hancock actually live in person ever. A huge fan of his, but I'd never actually seen the band. And it was the perfect band to see. It was Vinny and all these heavy hitters, but having Vinny kind of like be the engine under the whole thing, and then seeing Herbie in that context, and it was super slamming and super cool. And I'm not a jazz guy so much, but some of Herbie's grooves from the Headhunters era can be really happening, kind of heavy rock grooves and heavy grooves, and so I love that kind of, for lack of a better term, that kind of distorted pocket that he has. You know what I mean?
That's great.
So So the first couple tunes have a really distorted pocket, and there's like some overlapping kind of polyrhythmic stuff that's going on that Dale's going to have to like have fun with and get into. And
I do remember those couple of tunes. Actually, many of them. I would look at Travis like, Dale's going to kill us. Dale is going to kill us. And Travis would be like, yeah, he always kills us. So have fun, Dale. Sorry.
Somehow when I was listening to these, I thought it was going to be really fun to attack. And maybe it's because some of the ones I was trying to think about that. I think maybe sometimes that I kill you guys is because there's something that's impossible that's completely thankless and will never be noticed. And these seem kind of fun, and they're going to seem like I don't know.
So I don't even know. Have you heard them all the 5 thus far?
No. So maybe I will kill you. I've only heard the first 2. Sorry.
But
Okay.
The first tune, I'll say this though, and this is thinking of all of us, including Dale. There has been a thing in the past where sometimes I won't even worry about consistency. A section will kind of sound like another section. I mean, most of our stuff doesn't sound that complicated, but some of it, if you try and learn it as a musician, you'll realize the stuff we're trying to remember. And there's songs in some of our records where there's like one extra beat on one measure it only happens once in a song, that kind of stuff. I am trying to avoid that, Dale. Like I'm not trying to put you through that. But,
I don't want to water down our stuff. What would it be if it wasn't impossible?
Yeah, right. And there's been a few times where I've been like, no, it needs to breathe by like a half a beat, or I would kind of like hum it or whatever to Travis, and he'd be trying to figure out the timing of it. And he's like, it doesn't land on anything. There's no, and I'm like, that's okay. Dale will figure it out. And Travis has overruled me. He's like, no, you're going to put it on some kind of beat. Okay, fine.
Larry says, can he play one note on the new record? That would be, we'll do like a Beck fart or something like that. And that'll be Larry. Like just like some little bring, right?
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be better. That'd be more of a Larry thing. Like some kind of deep groove wah. Wow.
I know the song, actually.
Yeah. So I started dealing with some more stuff the other night, and it's funny how this stuff, just when you're writing music, and I'm just, this might be interesting to some people out there that write music, but one of the things that I've done in this band over the years, and now I'm doing it to myself, not just to you guys, is not worrying about whether everything is following what I originally had in my head. And that's a huge part of even composing with my own self. Like if I'm coming up with an idea and I'm starting to work on this thing, you just follow where it wants to go.
Interesting.
And like I might be thinking, okay, this is what I was going to do, but then it starts to be this thing, and I'm like, well, it wants to be this thing, so I'm just going to do that. And
Sure. Yeah.
I saw a really this is a good quote the other night on Rick Beato, I think is his name, the guy that does those music videos on YouTube where he breaks down people's music and really reconstructs it. He had Luke on
Beato
yesterday. Yeah, what is it?
Beato.
Okay. Yep. He's got a great channel where he really breaks down a lot of songs through history and explains exactly how they got tones and what the parts were. And obviously a great band to do that with is Toto. And he had Luke on yesterday, which was great and insightful. But one of the things, Larry says, yes, on the wah, by the way.
Yeah, nice.
So, but you watch videos on YouTube and it goes to the next video, and the next one was Satriani on his show, which I think I checked that out a while back, but he said an interesting thing, which, obviously we kind of know this and it seems so simple, but he says, just play what you want to play, and a lot of people, that doesn't necessarily mean make it easy on yourself. Like I play what I want to play, meaning I hear stuff in my head I can't necessarily play. So that can be very difficult, but play what you want to play. Don't play like, something that you think is going to do something for you, or that people would want to hear, or anything like that, because then there's no path to follow. And if you just play what you want to play and follow that path, then you always stay productive and things keep moving,
Well, and then that's always going to be authentic for you,
Yeah. And
sorry,
go ahead. No,
I
go
was
ahead.
going to interject on that Luke interview. This is sort of related, not entirely, but speaking of playing what you want to play, Rick was talking about one of his favorite Lukather guitar solos, and I'm not going to remember the Toto song, but it was like a minute and a half long outro, right?
Yeah.
And Luke's response, remember, he was like, "Oh man," it was the classic Studio Cat thing where he goes, "Yeah, that was the first run through. Like we were arranging the song. It was the first time we tried it." And then he was like, "We got done." I'm like, "All right, let's roll it." And then there was like, "No, that was it, man." And he was like, "No way. I played way too much." but you listen to it and it sounds great. He was, playing what he wanted to play on that take,
Yeah. The other one was on a, what's his name that did, Richie, all night long. What's that guy's name?
Yeah. Lionel Richie.
Lionel Richie. Yes. Thank you. Sorry. COVID brain. Lionel Richie, he talked about a Lionel Richie record back in like 81 or 82. And there's a 2-minute solo on the way out. Same kind of thing you're talking about.
Was that Running with the Night? Is that what that was?
I think so. I think so. And that was another one where Luke was just getting warmed up, getting a sound and a level.
Yeah.
They ran tape on him, and then they were like, "Okay, we're good." And he's like, "Wait, no, let's do it." And they're like, "No, we're good."
That might be the one I'm thinking of. Yeah, that's.
But there was another. He did mention some Toto solos that.
Yeah.
Like Rick kept bringing up some Toto solos, and Luke is always like so self-effacing.
Yes.
It's like, I don't know, man, that's a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah, right.
So, but
Holly says, "Be like Rush and make 2112 despite what anybody says."
Right. Well, we've pretty much done that our whole career.
Right.
That's why we're hanging out with you, very select group of people that are nice enough to give us, your time. But anyway, so I the other night I started working on a couple more things, and it's funny, like an example of this is the things that Dale hears in these songs too. I remember there was a song that we did, and nobody in the world would ever think this, and Dale of course heard the beat for a was
it the thing when I was hearing a U2 thing?
Whitney Houston.
Oh, yeah. Oh, if you prepared for me this, I would have found the mashup I made.
Yeah. He's like, "That's a Whitney Houston beat." I'm like, "What in the world are you talking about?" It's like, how could you hear a Whitney Houston song in that? And he's only hearing the beat. So
yeah, there was a thing where it was like the groove went, or now I'm not gonna. So it had a thrown off thing, but the effect is, when you're trying to listen to something that doesn't have a strong root on one, I'm like, to you, is that a disjointed snare, or is it like boom, do-ka, do-do, do-ka? And I could hear it both ways. And so then, and I'm like, it's like just like a 6/8 thing. And you're like, and obviously you weren't hearing it that way. And then if you tried to hear it that way, it was a Whitney Houston song. It was like, it was this. It was "Be My Baby Tonight," and so or "Be Your Baby Tonight." I don't remember. Anyway, the point is,
be somebody's baby tonight.
Yeah, somebody. So then, just to be a smartass, I took that beat because it occurs in the song by itself. I took that beat and I sped up the one you gave me and mashed it up, and I thought it was genius. And I'm pretty sure you just went, "Yeah, I don't know what Dale's talking about here," and just put it down, but you never really let it play through.
Right. Well, and I was going to say, when Jen hears some of these demos for the first time, I know she was mentioning stylistically sometimes, it's like, I know you were starting to say you're not always on the same page or something along those lines. And that's one of those things that we've learned over time of, like I said, sometimes I just have to, like, if I had an idea, I follow what's working versus the idea.
Yeah.
And Jen's also, I think, intellectually kind of learned to walk in and hear something and go, okay, but this will become something, I think, right, Jen?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. I mean, that's just an experience. Yes, there was, in the early days, I somehow had this expectation of there being a fully formed thing. And now you know better that there's going to be a lot of production. Nothing is tracked. I mean, demos are just raw sketches, like little drawings. And so, yes, now I'm a little better at going, okay, I see where this is going and I can imagine this and that. I don't have to hear it all in place. And is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, because I don't have the perspective that you have where you walk in and hear my stuff for the very first time and go, it's like the old Letterman sketch, is this anything? And then they just try something weird out on the stage and they decide whether it's anything or not.
And I think that is a really cool situation to be in, is to walk in as the fresh listener. And I know you've been listening to it and working on it and this and that. And I can approach it from, I always call it the dumb guy perspective, because I haven't heard it and you're so deep inside it. And then I walk in and I go, yeah, as a dumb guy hearing this for the first time, I get it. That makes sense to me. Yeah. And I use that a lot to our advantage. Say, if I'm just normal Joe Schmo guy, does this make sense? Is this anything? Yes.
Right. Stephanie says, will it float? That was also a good bit.
Yeah.
By the way, I was asking Jen the other day, and I don't think she knew, but if this is a completely off topic, we'll come back. If you're hard boiling an egg, or not hard boiling it, if you just have some old eggs. So here's the thing.
There's a difference there.
Because I'd like some old eggs.
Yeah, it's different. If you have some old eggs. So I'm, we've talked about our families all living really close and everything. So I'm dog sitting for Jen's dad right now. And his refrigerator had month-old expired eggs in them. And so I called Jen and I go, you think these eggs are okay to eat? And she's like, I don't know. You'll know if you open them. I go, yeah, but isn't there a thing where you can put them in water and if they float, they're good, or if they don't float, they're good, or something like that. So does anybody know?
You didn't manage to look it up and find out?
No, but I figured we could ask our people on the webcast because,
There's a different thing. If you were trying to figure out if they were hard boiled, you could do that thing where you spin it, and then when you stop it and it keeps spinning when you let it go, then it's not hard boiled because it's like the angular momentum of a fluid type thing. But
by the way, that'd be another song title.
Angular, yes. I can't even say it again. But
somebody had asked earlier if there are any song title ideas or album concepts and all that stuff, and I'm just going to say no. No.
We should be asking you and then rip off your ideas.
Well, there's little things here and there that get
the working titles, yes. They're those silly working. But even some of those aren't fully formed yet. I don't know. I'm
sitting right next to Jen's seat here in the studio. She's home, and I'm sitting. This is her notebook. It's
my secret notebook. You can. Yeah, I don't know what that. I haven't really even had good working titles yet, sadly.
this song 5 says Mission Possible. So it must be, is it a 4/4 song instead of a 5/4 song or 5/8?
Right. Mission Possible.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times it's just to remind you of what stuff is, So I don't know where the rest of your notes are.
I remember there was one album, and maybe it was the most recent one, where we kind of were joking about how those working titles stick in our brains so hard that it's hard to take on the new title. So we didn't do that, and it was just song 1, song 2, but then that stuck equally hard, and everything was song 7 for 3 months on the road.
Okay.
And it's kind of like that right now. Yeah.
So, does anyone remember the show in the 80s, Jake and the Fat Man? So there's a title here, and Jen wrote this down, but there must be, it's got to be like a Simon Phillipsy drum groove or something, but it says Simon and the Fat Man.
Nice. Jim says too much message.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, that's good.
That is good, actually.
This one just says Herbie tune. That's just straight up. So yeah, I mean, mostly they're just reminders of what we're doing. Jen doesn't push very hard on the pencil, so I can't read a lot of this.
Way to blame her for your old eyes.
Right. Thank you.
Just this one right here on the side just says robots.
It has to start somewhere, man. It has to start, thing pops in your head.
Holly Hitch says, "I love you, whore."
Yeah, right. I know that's the other half of that.
Robots. Right. I love you, whore.
So anyway, it's so much work, and it's so draining on us, and it's also so much fun in a way that I get back in this room with Jen where every time I do that, I think about like her and I, the very first time we were working on a song and the San Francisco earthquake happens. But I was not
talking about earthquakes with my brother this afternoon, and yeah. Yep.
Is that yeah. So, but I remember, this was like after school and us literally trying to like, well, let's try and work on a song, like our own song. Like we'd already mastered the Rush catalog, right?
Yeah, right.
The first song we tried to play, I'm blank. I got COVID brain. What was the first song? Xanadu. Yes, thank you. So you can imagine a couple of 15-year-olds playing Xanadu when they'd been playing their instruments for a year. It's time to move on to writing your own songs now.
Sure.
Or maybe we better just write our own songs.
Yeah, right. This is too hard.
So, but we were working on this tune that we ended up calling Aftershock because the earthquake happened while we were working on that song. But
nice.
But anyway, it's exactly like it was then. So anybody that wants to like feel the history of a band, there's really absolutely no difference. It's like, I feel like Jen and I have a profound understanding of the Alex and Getty relationship of since you're like 14, 15 years old, you've been sitting in a room with this person trying to hash this crap out. And you're still doing it, but it's getting better. It's like it's getting hopefully more developed, which means it's more difficult, but it's still exactly the same as it always was, and if I haven't done my homework, Jen still gets frustrated and says, come on, come up with something.
Or he pushes way too hard, and like 3 hours later, I'm asleep on the couch because I've been listening to him try to find one note in a melody for 3 hours, and I'm like, "There's only just pick one. It's fine. I don't care anymore."
But there's only one that's going to work.
It's not right. It's not right.
That's great. Pick one.
Yeah.
But what's so great about that is I've heard those Getty and Alex discussions, and in our band, I'm Getty and you're Alex.
A little bit. Yep.
Jen's the one with like the unbridled passion and excitement and sparky energy, and then she's asleep on the couch while I'm sitting there with the mouse meticulously trying to like piece something together for 3 hours. But she's just like, well, just do this and this and this and make it sound like this and do something that sounds like this.
And then so 3 hours Travis making that happen. Yes.
So, and then it's funny because I remember Dale talking about these discussions. I can't remember if you had said who you had these discussions with, but a friend of ours who knows how to actually read and write music. and Dale was having this discussion, and they were saying, "How do you guys communicate?"
Oh, right.
And it's like, well, we communicate like every rock bar band that came up the hard way that just says, "Well, just do this, boom, biddly-dum, biddly-dum, biddly-dum," and go blah 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 blah, and go nano, do that.
Yeah. Yes.
And that's how you communicate. It's a lot of like really stupid noise making and especially when we're talking about Dale, because we don't. Jen has a drum set here, but she can't play it like Dale.
No.
There was
we were coming up with drum fills the other night, Dale, and Jen's like,
great, this is gonna be good.
She's like, this section needs a drum solo, and it's like we're going to write a drum solo for Dale, but we need just enough on the demo to where we understand this is going to be a drum solo.
Oh, this is great,
right? But then it's
also going to be the best thing that any of us has ever done on drums. You're being all humble.
It's just a blank spot with a few toms in there, like do 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 do. Psst,
yeah,
do,
yeah.
Do, do. Okay, that's the drum solo section.
I was listening to a reading. Do I read? But I must have been listening to a Getty interview talking about Neil. Them as a rhythm section, and it was the most validating.
That recent interview, probably, right?
Yeah, it was the most validating thing ever to what we like. I'm always talking about what beat is it on, and you guys are always saying like, I know, I just do the thing and then I count beats until the next thing, and literally like almost in the exact same words Getty was saying he and Neil always did that.
Right.
So it was total vindication for you guys in that.
Thank you. Yes. Yep. Right.
Yeah, Glenn says placeholder drums. It's funny you say that, Glenn, because there's all the guitar solos are placeholders too, because that stuff, when you're actually recording, you get in and you do that stuff until it's magical, and until it's something magical, it's not on the record, because, and at least in our world, and I had a talk with a good friend of mine the other day about writing music and how some people just spew music out constantly, and some people, it's very precious to you because it's not that easy. And our stuff has always been very precious to us, even the stuff that we're kind of over, like we know the early stuff is us trying to figure it out. And it's, it is what it is. I'll put it that way. But it's still precious because it took a lot of work to be able to even do that. And, it's not writing jingles for commercials or something like that, where you're just constantly writing 30-second pieces of music all day long. And you're not, we're trying to string together some sort of journey that you feel, you're like okay, which direction should we go now? And you kind of follow your instincts is all it is. And so, to do that, and make everything so precious, it's hard, that's why it's hard to come out with records. It's hard to do this a lot and be very prolific. And, that's one of the reasons, I'm so proud of the last record. That's why one of the reasons it takes a long time to do the next one. That and a bunch of tours that come up that we were not foreseeing. So, yeah, which is great too. I mean, that's actually the whole reason in doing this is so we can get out and play, which is hopefully that's the foreseeable future. But, but yeah, this stuff, it's not easy to chip away at this stuff. And, there's always limitations, but you're always doing the best you can. And you're always trying to get as close to what you would want to hear, going back to that quote of play what you want to play, and sometimes you're thinking what would be fun to play on stage, and sometimes you're thinking what would I want to hear, and what you want to hear isn't necessarily even possible to play on stage without a whole lot of work
or a whole lot more people.
Right, exactly. Yeah, which is why we deal with all that technology, which Dale, do you want to talk about some of the technology we're kind of playing with right now? I was going to get into some of the MIDI mapping that we're doing.
Yeah.
And I was just going to say real quick, Dale's working on some potential ways to MIDI map his drum demos back to us. Because what we do is we kind of pass ideas around constantly.
Yeah, usually they're WAV files. It's like all Frankenstein something together, and you'll listen back to what it is. But I'm finally sort of just biting the bullet and getting an updated electronic drum set that could basically do what you're doing with your tracks, which is just record the MIDI performance and then assign sounds to it. And it's also part of, to be perfectly honest, it started out of necessity because there's sort of an ebb and flow to the neighbors to the studio, and I'm sort of on this stop and making noise around 11, which is just not very tenable. So I was updating the electronic drums anyway, so I could work through the night. but
Have
yeah,
you gotten the new drums yet?
no, not yet. I'm still waiting, but I'm excited. And what I've been doing is dragging out all my existing electronic drums and cobbling together something that I want as a small, like space efficient set, and trimming the fat. So I've collected weird electronic drums since the 80s, so like I kind of have a lot of odds and ends, and so I'm just making a small set that I can function on for right now, and then when the new drums come, it'll be great. And
So
then you guys won't be able to elbow your way into the studio at all.
I know. There already two kits set up in there.
Yeah,
I got a text from Kip, just so people watching understand. I'm in the Treehouse studio, which is the home studio. Jen lives down the street from me. Dale works out of Avalon, which is our recording studio with Kip.
And
so,
rehearsal.
And rehearsal. Yeah. That's like a big complex. And so Kip texts me like a couple of weeks ago, and he was in the room, during when we had the huge rainstorms. We're always checking for leaks, make sure everything's cool. And so Kip takes a peek in there, and he sends me back a text, and he's just like, your room is completely moonized at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll change something around on my main TLB drum set, and then of course that means there's 3 or 4 things that are being tried out, and then those are on the floor, and then man, it's been a weird few months. I forget how much has been done, because then change the whole room around in order to get those performances we did those pandemic performances. I can't even what were they called?
Oh, the home sessions.
Yeah, the home sessions. So that was like me down at Target buying sheets and hanging stuff.
Right.
Yeah, it's been just nuts.
Jen's laughing her ass off at you right now, because she could tell I was unraveling that as I thought about it. The home session.
Right.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, and then there was something I had to sort out on a different drum set. So then there's 2 drum sets. The killer is you bring a second drum set into a room and you have 2 drum sets worth of cases. That's the killer. Mm-hmm. And then Kip will find his way in there because some of the building circuit breakers, this is really riveting, I know, are there. So he has to climb behind my drums. And I texted him. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you had to get through that. So sorry. I don't even know how he's like, no problem. In fact, no, don't take him out. I was thinking you might want to play some drums on a song. So he was like, he was reluctant to see the drums go, because if they're already at the studio, maybe I'll do a session for one of his tunes,
Goober says Moonized, great song title.
Yeah.
Tommy says the home slice sessions. So so basically, do you want to talk about what you're getting? I'm
going to get some Roland drums. I've played some different. I'm going to get Roland has the TD50 set. That's the current thing that they got going, and so that will be the new workhorse as far as doing a lot of this late night stuff.
And so people understand, again, just explaining MIDI to any non-musicians. MIDI is basically like when you play a keyboard. A lot of times it's sending out MIDI signals to a voice module. And so you can do the same thing from any other electronic instrument, like drums that has MIDI, or people have MIDI saxophones, and I have a synthesizer pickup on my guitar that's MIDI, so I can play guitar into the computer and save it as basically a digital performance that doesn't have an actual sound associated with it. So if you want to chop it up and listen to roughly what parts would sound like when they are real, you're not actually messing with actual audio. You're actually messing with performance data. And so what Dale can do is he can demo drum ideas and email us the performance data, and we can drop it in the computer and hear like sampled drums playing his performance is the basic idea. And
then when I say, can you do some kind of bigger ride on that one part there, you can just change the instrument.
Yeah,
or you guys could change the instrument.
Right.
Well, that's the thing. And so when Jen and I are demoing these songs, when we're talking about that, I'm playing some guitar, because obviously there's never been a good digital guitar. But But a lot of the stuff, if I just want to hear what a really crazy fast passage that I have in my head sounds like in the air, I'll put it in MIDI form, and then I can hear the performance of it, even though the sounds are, not necessarily right or a little cheesy. You could still get a sense of what it is. And so a lot of what Jen and I are doing as far as arranging the demos of the songs is we're looking at a screen where we're moving MIDI notes around and changing parts that way. And it's so the first record we ever did this on was Annika, and we've used MIDI throughout the years, but we've always used it on old school keyboards and sequencers where you literally had to play the part in slowly to a metronome. So if it was a part, like say a keyboard part that was some really fast arpeggio that's harmonizing with a guitar part or something, I either had to learn it and play it, or if I was programming in like orchestral parts or something. This is why Jen talks about this old Brother it's a Brother brand sequencer, like the old typewriters, and it had a metronome, and she'd hear me for hours. It would be like beep boop 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 beep boop boop boop, and I'd be in there like do 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 do, and then you play it back, and it's like diddle 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 diddle, and it's like, okay, now I have to learn that on guitar. But you'd program this stuff in to have, say like a whatever what some other sound play that instrument or play that part. I mean, so on the last record we did a lot of the production that way, where we could add orchestral sounds and things like that to make it sound big. And in the old days, I used to have to play all that stuff a million times on a keyboard, and Jen and I would sit there, and it was so much more time consuming because you'd have to learn how to play every part on a different instrument to record it that way, and even if you did it even slower than you were going to put it on the record, it would still be a huge pain in the butt. You'd sit there and do all this stuff. So now that all these instruments have MIDI pickups on them and stuff, it's gotten much easier. And arrangement wise, it's kind of like we're looking at, it's just like you would have composed back in the day. Except it's on a screen, but it's like if we were sitting there writing on paper and moving notes around, but then you can do that on a screen and you can actually hear what it would sound like, So it sounds a little bit like 8-bit video game music sometimes. It's not like,
true.
It's not like that's what you get on the record. So you still have to, again, eventually track that stuff. And that's the hard part, so, but
you at least get to preview whether an idea is worth putting in the effort to learn.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
It's like the 8-bit preview. I'm distracted by this Sam Kovar message, and I just want to say, yes, get better. I don't know what's going on, but I hope everything's okay.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I was also going to say he says he's in Texas, and there's a lot of stuff going on in Texas. I don't know how much you guys are up on this, but it's a long story. But talking to someone in Texas yesterday, not in my family, but somebody actually my brother was talking to, and some of those people have been out of power for like a really long time, and because they're out of power, they're out of water, because that's the way some of these systems work. And so there's people burning their furniture in their fireplaces and melting snow for water. I mean, it's completely out of control. So
I have a friend who, he's been taking some drum lessons. He lives in Austin, and and so he said, "Hey, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do it." And then we all started hearing what was going down in Texas, and so I reached out recently, and he's fine, but he's not in his place. He's staying with friends, and they have limited everything.
Right.
It's really interesting.
Yeah, it's I mean, obviously, where we live, you see a lot of things. We have the fires every summer, and you see a lot of people being displaced because of that. But when the power and the water go out, I mean, that's like some scary stuff. So hopefully that all gets resolved very, very soon. And our thoughts with everybody.
Holly and Danny are saying. I wasn't thinking that. Yeah, they're in Texas.
Yeah. So
okay, Sam, good. Thank you for the update. Get better.
Much love to you guys, and stay as safe as you're relatively able to. And we look forward to hopefully everything in the world getting better, and we get back to Texas soon, because Texas is one of our favorite places to play.
Yeah.
Like I've had some really great. There's people in Texas like guitar players apparently.
Right,
Right. It's true.
There's a few guitar players from Texas, and we played a gig in Texas that Eric Johnson came out to, and that's the only place I could say that about. So,
Yep. Stephanie says, sometimes I wish I had a reason to burn my furniture.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get into bad furniture.
Okay.
But anyway, I had something here I might have missed. Nope, I didn't. All right, just checking. Sorry. Anybody got anything that they want to talk about specifically on the new record, or anything coming up, or any of that stuff? I was just going to say these are still not going to be a regular thing, because Jen and I are going to get back to work shortly. So It's going to be kind of when we have time to check in and want to check in. And we so appreciate you guys all coming out tonight.
Yeah, I was looking forward to this. I mean, it changed direction a little bit, but I was, I feel like I haven't seen you guys I've seen Travis like every damn day, but hi Dale, I haven't seen you in forever.
I know. Yeah, I know. I still have that thing going on. I think we talked about it in the last episode or the one before, where I feel like there's a lot going on and I'm really busy and not connecting with people, and it feels 10 times more like you're preoccupied and not connecting, because I feel like other people are going, yep, got a lot of time on my hands, and meanwhile I'm over here ignoring people. But
I've been so negligent of many people, not because I wish to. It's just it feels like there's the more time you get, the more you fill it up. I think that just works out like that,
Heather is asking Jen and I if we're going to go to our high school reunion in July.
Oh,
wow.
It's funny because that was actually the real reunion would have been last year, right?
Right.
So I don't.
Is that going to be 30 years?
Well, no, it was 30 years. It's going to be 31 years.
I meant
but
30 years.
Here's the thing, though. Well, it's really close. I mean, it's like really close to us. So I've been meaning to talk to you about this. So we'll have to see what's happening and consider this. It's really close. Like I literally ride my bike where it's going to be every day.
The closer you make it sound, the more it sounds like.
Maybe we can play the reunion.
There you go.
Maybe not.
Now that everybody knows how close it is, it's really going to be a statement if you don't attend.
Right. Well, the only one that's watching is Heather. So
you're right. Are you going, Heather? Is she? You're not as local as you used to be, I don't think. Anyway. I don't know.
Well, we'll talk about it.
July is a ways away. Who knows what's going to happen?
Right.
I picked up a new snare drum in the vein of what I've been sharing about vintage drums, but not the really good expensive ones. Yeah. The ones like a lot of people really think they don't make a maple like they used to, and they don't resonate. But there's a certain cheap kind of drum they used to make out of poplar, and then put a cosmetic ply of maple around it. But what I like about those is when you're not playing loud, they just don't have the ability to be loud. So it doesn't sound like you're just barely tapping a drum. You can play it and it's weak. And if you're playing at a winery or something, it doesn't kill everybody. So I shared this Slingerland drum I got that was metallic on the outside, but it was poplar on the inside. And I liked it. It just kind of has a poopy, not very projecting sound. Then I saw another one, and these are just, they're not throwaway drums, but they're not expensive. And I liked that one. And in this, I saw a new one that had reinforcing rings on the inside. And I checked this out, and I will say, this is subjective, but I will say, as a person who's been playing for, long time, these drums of this type are the ugliest paint job ever made. And I was always like, I I'm never going to do that. But it's this Slingerland Blue Duco. No offense to anybody who loves these drums, but I was always like, I'm never getting one of those. And then I saw this show up where it has the reinforcing rings on the inside and there's a ply of mahogany, but it's basically a poplar drum. So I got it and it's doing the job great. I actually didn't. Okay.
Let's hear it.
Hi, Joe Travers. This is the drum that he talked me into getting. So yeah, at first I was like, I don't know about this thing, man. This might be a dud, but it wasn't a big risk. And then, but then I started playing it more and I like it for what it is. Well, it has too much ping going on right now.
Yeah,
but
you can really hear the ping over this connection.
What's that?
No, he muffled the ping, but you can't play Neighbors from the Rolling Stones without that ping.
Yeah, right.
Right?
Oh wait, it should have been. I can't play like that.
All right. So I just real quick, I wanted to mention, going back a second, Heather said, yeah, I hated high school, as if she may or may not go to the reunion. We all hated high school, Heather. That's why we're in a band. The only good thing about high school is that Jen and I are still in a band together. And Tommy says Grosse Pointe Obispo. Now, this is
nice.
I have to mention, I saw this. I watched Grosse Pointe Blank the other night because it was on TV. What a great freaking movie this is.
I love that movie.
It's a great movie. Fantastic.
Yep.
Anyway, all right. Just wanted to get that out there. Mike says I should write another piano-based tune like Double Tap. Yeah, well, I write with a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff going on. There could be stuff that gets, there's some stuff that could be piano, could be guitar. We haven't even decided yet. Right. So there's some stuff that's like Jen got one of those Geddy Lee what is that, Tech 21 preamps, the SansAmp. And so every time I keep writing like something heavy, she's just like, fuzzy bass, yeah, fuzzy bass.
That's why I'm a little disappointed in all these fusion tunes this far.
Oh, right.
Not disappointed is strong, Travis. I'm sorry. I don't mean it like that.
I know. No, but I got some stuff. I the other night, it was one of those things where, it starts taking different directions, and I had this kind of Simon Phillipsy kind of what was a slower groove, and then of course the stuff I started putting to it was kind of in a division of that groove that made it start to sound like a fast 6/8 tune. When it started out, it could have been a ballad or it could have not been a ballad, and it ended up, now I think it's like this really heavy song.
I've been making one of my students learn Space Boogie lately.
Space Boogie.
Yeah. Anyway, you get the rest.
Right. Tommy Quirk says Fuzzy Bass has to be another song title. I think, though, if you put Fuzzy Bass in print, most people would be thinking like spoiled fish in the refrigerator.
Yeah, probably.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Problem is that you can't differentiate between bass and bass. So,
right.
Anyway, so anybody got anything planned for the upcoming rest of your, besides Jen and I working on this record? Anybody doing anything fun? Dale's still teaching. You're still Zoom teaching a bunch, right?
Yeah, I'm doing a ton of that, trying to get things sorted out to where I can start working on the album stuff you send me. That's like a combination of construction and house cleaning and drum building and all that.
Jen's, I will say, since we last talked, I think it's since then, Jen got her permit for her motorcycle.
Oh, sweet.
So she's legal now. And
slip, like it's all kind of a done deal. Well, till I get my actual license, but yeah, insurance, the whole nine. I've ridden.
Wow.
ridden up to this place and that place and stuff. So yeah.
Congratulations.
This
Thanks.
place and that place.
I
Kip
don't know.
wants to start a biker gang with Jen. Kip's our sound guy.
We've gone for a ride together. Me and Kip.
Nice.
Yep. We went up
Wow.
to Turry, we did Turry Road, Montana Dioro. I mean, these are all probably no
Wow.
one knows what I'm talking about, but
That's
Yeah.
cool.
we did a baby biker gang trip. It was great.
Nice. Baby
How come-
biker gang. That's a
Now,
good
how come
title.
I wasn't told? Because I keep telling Kip, I'm going to ride on the back like his like his biker chick.
You can say his bitch.
For people that don't know, Kip's like 6'5", so
Yeah.
he's the one guy in TLB that makes me feel small.
He's the one who sold me the bike that fits me. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Yeah, that's weird.
yeah, he finally has a proper bike for himself.
Would you have been riding around at night? I almost thought I saw you riding recently. Okay, I figured you wouldn't.
That's against permit rules. No nighttime riding, no passengers.
Okay, sorry. You're
Travis,
probably like, yes, I was, but I was trying to keep it quiet.
yeah, right. No, that wasn't me.
Booger says I need a tramp stamp. Well, yeah. I get one of those midriffs. I'll just hang on to Kip.
Oh man.
Get some chaps.
There you go.
So,
All right. Well, yes, the bike's going well. Thank you.
so we are making progress, people. We are officially working on this album. Last year we weren't so much. Last year we were actually just trying to figure out how we were going to stay stable financially and stuff. So, and by the way, and I see a lot of you on here, thank you for the continuing support with that. You guys are invaluable to helping us continue doing this because, and some of you really, I mean, like to a level where I will never be able to repay you guys other than just trying to play the best we can. And, like packed backstage passes and free admission to the show.
Yeah. These are really fun. These are fun. I mean, you want to be out on the road, but there's something about this that is unique too, where we get to connect with people all over at the same time. If we're on the road, we just see the people in those towns. So this is kind of a fun mix.
But there's more and more people that I feel like I really need to like remember, because they've been like kicking down on the merch pages and on the tip jar and all that stuff. And like, some of you guys way above and beyond. And so that's obviously very, very helpful, but it's also, don't ever do anything you guys can't pull off because
right.
Part of being a musician is being very thrifty and knowing what we can pull off. So we're very conscious of anyone going above and beyond. And, part of us being able to survive is us never going above and beyond if we can't. So make sure you guys take care of yourselves first with all that's going on out there and, people being unemployed and stuff. But yeah, we're full throttle into this thing. We do. Oh, Jen and I need to talk about some extra swag because we've had some real suggestions lately for the artist shop, which is where we put the outside the in t-shirts. All these links are in the description, by the way, of this cast. But I'm getting a lot of requests for like beanies, like toques.
Oh, cool.
Cap. Okay.
It's like I think a black beanie with the TLB logo on it could be pretty cool. I'm just saying.
Cool. I don't know how they would print on knit, but I will look into it.
Yeah, I don't even know if it's a thing. I don't know if it's available, but if it is, that'd be kind of a cool thing. And then the hoodies and stuff are turned out really awesome. I'm like super excited to get on the road. I see Dale never wears anything other than a t-shirt, and he goes walking at night. We've talked about this.
Yeah.
Sometimes I see him at night, like it's it'd be like 45 degrees out there or something. I hate to sound like I'm whining about that, but
right.
In California, 45 degrees is like, oh my God, it's winter. And Dale will come, walking by the house sometimes and I'll see him out on the street and we'll talk for a few minutes. And he's always wearing this TLB hoodie. I'm like, look at this guy. He's wearing a hoodie. I haven't seen Dale wear a jacket or a hoodie ever. He grew up in Humboldt and he loves it cold.
Yep. Yep. But now I get to wear a hoodie, a cool one.
So,
All right, we'll work on that artist shop a little more and see what can be arranged.
yeah, we'll see.
I would like to echo Trav's sentiments with thank yous to everybody. It's so cool to see everybody here, and I know it's been a while. And thank you for your support and it's awesome.
We'll try and check in, on a fairly regular basis if we can. Like, maybe in another month or two, we won't go like the rest of the year without checking in occasionally, and maybe
do a little live stream when we're at Avalon, and just for I don't know, a bit of the tracking sessions, something like that could be really cool.
Yeah, which
So
to be clear, right. Watch Jen yell at everybody. To be clear, that'll be down the road a bit because Jen and I still are in the cave for probably at least a month or two, couple of months.
Yep.
So we have to. Like I like to say, ripping off Keith Richards and Mick Jagger, it's a mom and pop operation. We're still fighting over who's mom and who's pop.
That's pretty good.
That's my favorite. So, all right. Well, you guys got anything else you want to talk about before we go?
No, just thanks everyone, and thanks for hanging with us. And we promise to do our best.
Hi, Hella.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Well, thanks, everyone.
Yeah. Thank you. And everyone take care. All right.
Yes. Be safe out there. Like I said, take care of yourselves. You guys down in Texas, be safe. And, try and do what you can.
I miss you, everybody.
And we will see everybody as soon as we get another little break here. We'll just continue to check the events, because that's what we're if we put up an event that says we're going to do it, and we'll try and make those about a week out like we did this one, to just let everybody know what we're checking in again. So but thanks for all the support, everybody. You guys are awesome. There's at least a good third of a really promising record happening right now. So
right. At least. All right. Go Dale.
Thank you.